Interest is resuming on the Save student loan forbearance today on August 1st, 2025. And I wanted to tell you what that means, what you should expect, and the big question that we have been getting here on the College Investor all month long is, should you leave the Save plan? What is happening with the Save plan, and what do you need to know? So my name is Robert Farrington. I'm the founder here at the College Investor, and you have probably followed us on our short format channels, and I am trying to bring you more here on our long format videos as well, because let's face it, there are a lot of nuances to these student loan questions, and I want to help you answer them. So first off, today on August 1st, interest starts for borrowers that are in the Save forbearance. There's about 7 million of you in the Save student loan forbearance of 45 million student loan borrowers in total. So 7 million people haven't been paying interest on their student loans for the last 12 months. That changes today, but that doesn't mean that payments are due. That has been one of the biggest misconceptions I have been seeing across the internet. Just because interest is turning back on today does not make payments due anytime soon. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But you have to remember, most forbearances accrue interest. When you were in school, unless you had subsidized loans, your interest or your student loans accrued interest. That's just what happens. And it is not the biggest problem in the world. It's a normal thing that happens, and you should not be scared of it. Especially for most borrowers in the Save forbearance, your loan balance doesn't matter. I see this a lot as well, and it is really frustrating because there's two paths to dealing with your student loans. And I have talked about this before, and you've probably heard me say it. There is a group of borrowers that are going to repay their student loans, and that is about 50% of student loan borrowers. There is another group of student loan borrowers that are seeking, whether intentional or unintentional, they are seeking student loan forgiveness. And if you chose the Save student loan repayment plan, likely you are on the student loan forgiveness path. That either means that you can't afford to pay your student loans, and so you're going to get forgiveness, or you are going for a program like public service loan forgiveness, and you're going to get loan forgiveness. If you are getting loan forgiveness, your loan balance and the interest accruing on your loans doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter because it's going to get forgiven anyways. And public service loan forgiveness is tax-free. Don't even worry about it. Yes, people are scared about this potential tax bomb that could happen. But as you've seen our calculator on thecollegeinvestor.com, the tax bomb itself is even overblown. Most people won't pay a tax bomb because they'll be insolvent. And even if you do pay taxes, it will be a tiny, tiny fraction of what your student loan debt would be. With that being said, what is going to happen with Save, and when will payments actually resume? So first off, the Save plan is dead. There is a court hearing on August 4th coming up that's going to be a status check-in. It's not changing the outcome of Save. The court already ruled that Save was invalid. The appeals court already ruled that Save was invalid. And the One Big Beautiful Bill Act actually killed Save permanently and said it's going to phase out, even if these court things don't plan out. So Save is gone. It's dead. It's never coming back. What we expect to hear next week in the court hearing is, what does the timeline look like? And that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about right now and kind of give you some answers to what might be happening with Save. So you've probably seen this article on the College Investor, about what is going to happen with Save. And there's really a few courses of action that we could see happening. First, the court could say, and the Department of Education says, we are going to force everyone to resume payments ASAP. And that would earliest could happen is December of 2025, because we already know that borrowers are in forbearance through November. So they can't renege your forbearance, like your date's already been in there. The earliest it could be is December of 2025. But there's an issue with that. The issue is they cannot resume Save plan payments. Save is dead. It's illegal for the Department of Education to turn on the Save plan. And so if you're in the Save plan, they can't start payments on the Save plan. And this is the crux of the issue that we have been dealing with and why the forbearance exists. So if they were to turn on payments in December, it wouldn't be under the Save plan, but they've also given nobody an indication of what plan it would be on and what that would look like. That's why they're forcing so many people to change repayment plans. It's the easiest course of action. The most likely outcome for borrowers in the SAVE plan. It's not to say it won't happen, though. I want to be very clear. It could happen. We've seen this Department of Education do crazy stuff. They could try to do something. They could force people on. They could turn on payments. I'm not trying to say it shouldn't happen, but it's not likely to happen. What I see as the most likely thing to happen is it all aligns with the One Big Beautiful Bill, the new Repayment Assistance Plan or RAP plan that's coming in July of 2026. And of course, the One Big Beautiful Bill that says that IBR, pay-as-you-earn, and ICR get phased out between January or July of 2026 and June of 2028. So my best guess is that starting in July of 2026, they are just going to start auto migrating the SAVE plan borrowers into IBR, and you're going to have the option to select the RAP plan. There is also a scenario where they could start this slightly before July, and they could start enrolling people, but not turning on the payments until July. But July of 2026 seems like and feels like the most likely outcome. Not to say it won't start earlier. It's also not to say the third most likely outcome is later, sometime between 2026 and 2028. Of course, 2028 being the latest cutoff by law that's required to leave the SAVE plan. But it says at the latest, right? And in our conversations with the loan servicers are saying they expect guidance from the Department of Education that enrollment in pay-as-you-earn and ICR, which are the other two plans that are being eliminated, will likely end sometime in late 2027 to give people time to transition and move before the deadline in 2028. So even for those plans, they're expecting them to sunset and stop enrollment in them in 2027, late 2027, maybe early 2028 at the latest, because it's going to take time. You got to migrate them to IBR, you got to update your systems, so on and so forth. So that is what we expect with the SAVE plan. So what does that mean for you? Do you need to leave the SAVE plan today? Should you leave the SAVE plan today? It depends on your goals. And this is the hardest thing to answer for people is, do you leave the SAVE forbearance knowing that your IBR payment could be higher than it was under SAVE? Granted, it's probably not any higher than it was in 2020 if you had student loans then, because, right, the SAVE plan didn't even exist until 2022. So do you leave the SAVE plan, start making payments now? Or do you wait it out until they force you to move? Or maybe do you wait it out until the RAP plan goes live in 2026? And those are the options that you have to weigh, and you need to weigh them based on what your goal is. So going back to, what camp are you? Are you in the pay off my student loan camp? If that is you, well, SAVE was probably not the best student loan repayment plan for you anyways, and your interest is starting up. So why don't you just get on a repayment plan that helps you achieve your goal? You don't have to. Your interest will accrue the same today on the SAVE plan as it will under IBR and pay-as-you-earn and whatever else, the standard repayment plan, because the interest on your student loan is based on when you took out the student loan. It's not based on your repayment plan. So if you want to switch plans and you're trying to pay off your loans, go for it. My recommendation would be choose a repayment plan that helps you pay off your student loans and get them done and pays the least amount of interest possible. But if you are one of the 50+% of borrowers that is going for loan forgiveness, whether public service loan forgiveness or long-term IDR-based loan forgiveness, you might have other questions you need to answer for yourself before you make the choice to change repayment plans. There could be things like, can I afford it? Let's be honest. A lot of people chose the SAVE plan because they can't afford other plans. And so you still have about 3 to 6 months, maybe 9 months before your student loan payment will resume. You got to fix your budget. You got to figure out how you're going to afford a new student loan payment. And now is the time to do that. So maybe it's using this time to pay off other debt to free up things in your monthly budget. Try to get a new job, side hustle, build an emergency fund. You can do those things, and they might be more valuable to you in your whole financial picture than paying your SAVE student loan payments. With that being said, if you are going for public service loan forgiveness, you guys know the options, right? You got to hit 120 qualifying payments. And the sooner you get back on a payment plan, the sooner those qualifying payments start accruing for you again. Yes, you have PSLF buyback as an option, but PSLF buyback might not necessarily be the best course for you. And of course, the farther you go into the future, the more of a risk that PSLF buyback doesn't exist. PSLF as a program is not going away, but PSLF buyback is potentially on the chopping block because it's a regulation. It is a rule. It's not law like PSLF is. In 5-10 years down the road, they could say like, we're not going to do buybacks anymore. So that is a risk the farther you go out. There's no indication that's going to happen right now, but that is a risk and you need to know the risk. With that being said too, is if your income is lower in the future, your monthly payment on IBR or the repayment assistance plan could be lower than your buyback amount. And so you might just want to make normal monthly payments and get normal PSLF credits instead of trying to buy back at potentially a higher cost. So there's, again, pros and cons to this. You also know the PSLF buyback backlog is 9 months. So if you're only like 4 or 5 months away from PSLF, hopping on a repayment plan and just knocking out your last 5 months of payments could be the best option for you because it'll get you done with PSLF faster than waiting, buying back, and sitting in limbo for 10 months. If you are going for IDR related forgiveness, it's important to realize that this save forbearance does not count to your 20 or 25 years or 30 years under the future WRAP plan. So the longer you sit here and save, the longer you'll have student loans on your balance sheet. If you have a $0 save payment, there's a good chance you could have a $0 IBR payment today. You got to run the student loan calculators and see what your payment would be, whether you can afford it or not, and align that with what your goal is. So we're 12 minutes into this video and you can see the nuance in the decision that's required to get off the save plan or stay on the save plan right now. It's not super straightforward and it's going to be based on your own personal financial decision, like how you're able to afford it, what your goal is next year. And here's some other truth. You might be in a different spot financially in a year or two and your goals might be different. And it's okay to change. You need to do the best thing for you today in 2025, and then you just reassess in 6 months in 2026, and you reassess again. I know that's not fun. I know that's not easy, but that is a completely valid option, and it's what you need to do as you navigate, do I stay on save? Do I leave save? But hopefully that helps you understand what is happening with the save plan, what you should do, and I hope you have a little bit more of a framework of how you should figure out changing repayment plans or staying on the save plan. Of course, please like, subscribe, and follow us here at The College Investor. We will bring you the latest in higher education and personal finance news to your mobile device anytime.